Connor, Hardy versus Manley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
According to your complaint, Mr. Hardy, there came a time several months ago when your girlfriend discovered that her car had been hit. Nobody left any information as to the perpetrator of that hit and run, but you went on a sleuthing expedition in your neighborhood, and you came up with the defendant's car, and you found that there was damage to her car, same location, same color paint as happened to be on your car. When confronted, the defendant first acknowledged, then denied that someone else, I think you, were driving the car, but that wasn't their responsibility because although their car had been in an accident, you hit a
metal garbage can.
A metal garbage can, not her car. Later, which is the second part of your complaint, you claimed that while acting very innocently, the defendant ran over you while you were on your bicycle, causing you medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering, et cetera, et cetera. So you want the damage to your car, you want all the aggravation medical bills as a result of being hit by the defendant with her car. When was your car hit?
December 23rd, I walked out of the house and noticed that my car had been sideswiped on the front swale.
You have a picture of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How far do you live from each other?
I think we have about 5 or 6 homes between us.
How long have you lived there?
6 years.
And you?
5.
Never had any problem with each other before?
No.
Nasty.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of paint was on your car? Your paint and what other paint?
And a dark green paint.
Another dark green. Okay. What made you think, Mr. Hardy, that it was Miss Manley's car that caused the damage?
Well, on Christmas Eve, I took a walk down the street. We live on a dead-end street, so I knew if there was somebody on the street that damaged the car, there was a good possibility the car would be there. I walked down the street and saw the damaged vehicle in her carport. I knocked on her door.
Where was it damaged?
It is damaged on the front passenger side. We have the pictures.
It's on the side of the car.
Jill's car is parked on the swale with traffic. Her car was sideswiped on the driver's side, which means if a car was going down the street, most likely it would be on the passenger side damage.
What kind of car do you have?
A Lexus. I have my photos as well.
Can I see your car?
Yeah. I only have damage, a dent, 2 dents in the front side of my car. She has a swipe, and my car hit a metal dumpster at McDonald's.
Well, you don't know that. You weren't driving the car.
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
They told you that that's what happened.
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
Who was driving the car?
My uncle, Patrick.
You were with Patrick?
Yes.
Had you borrowed the car?
Yes.
When?
My mom had given it to us a couple days before Christmas to go to McDonald's because she was cooking.
So on the same date that Miss Connor's car was damaged?
I'm not positive.
Well, that's what it is. A couple of days before Christmas. Christmas comes the same time every year.
Thursday night.
That's December 25th.
It was at nighttime I gave him the car.
She said a couple of days before Christmas, which would have been the time that this happened. Whitney, when you came home, did you immediately tell your mother that you had been in an accident?
No, I didn't.
Did your uncle?
No, he didn't.
Why not?
Because we were afraid that we wouldn't get our Christmas gifts since it was right before Christmas. And we didn't want to upset her.
So how did you hide the car?
Well, at the time, my mom was driving my grandmother's new Dodge Ram truck. So the car is parked in the carport, and she doesn't usually have no reason to go on the side of the house, and she hasn't seen it.
So you concealed the fact that you were in this accident. Who owned the dumpster?
McDonald's.
Did you tell them that you hit their dumpster?
No, ma'am.
And how did that happen that the car hit the dumpster?
Well, as we were driving to the drive-in, we were arguing over the radio station, and he was like slapping my hand away from the radio station so I wouldn't change it. And I grabbed the wheel, and the car kind of swerved and hit the dumpster.
Now, let's leave that for a moment. When you approached Miss Manley, what did she say?
I knocked at the front door. I asked her, had her car been in an accident with my car on the street? She told me she had not driven the car in 4 days. I knew nothing about it. I asked her to come outside and look at her car.
Was she surprised?
Oh, she was very surprised to see the damage on her car. Called Whitney to the carport door. She asked Whitney if Whitney had driven the vehicle. Whitney said yes, she had driven the vehicle.
That's not true.
Shh, don't.
That's not true.
Shh, don't speak.
Sorry.
and that she had sideswiped my girlfriend's car on her way
That
to
is not
McDonald's.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's
You're
not
just-
true. Okay.
What do you think? I don't hear? I heard what you said, and I told you to be quiet. You're going to have an opportunity to respond to him. Go ahead.
Whitney said yes, she had driven the car. She had hit Jill's car on the way to McDonald's. Stated that she was putting on her seatbelt at the time of the accident and had just swerved over and rubbed the car and was afraid to tell anybody.
Whitney doesn't even know how to drive.
Listen to me. It's my job to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
I told her that I would like to call the police. Patrice said this is not a good idea to call the police because Whitney is not covered by her auto insurance, and she would be more than happy to just pay for the damages if I brought her an estimate. She wrote down her name and phone number.
Let me see it, please.
I left that on the door.
Listen to me. When it's your turn, you will speak.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This is her handwriting.
Yes, ma'am.
And you wrote down your name and phone number.
Yes.
And put it on his door.
Yes.
For what reason?
Because I had to talk with her on what happened because she never said anything when he came. He asked her, I asked her, did she know about an accident to her car? Whitney said no. Okay? After that point, she didn't say anything else. So therefore, while he was there, if I was going to write down all that information, I would have given him my insurance and other papers.
No, that's not true, madam.
Why?
You usually don't get an opportunity for me to answer your questions, but I'm going to do it for you because you seem to be speaking out of turn. And maybe if I explain to you why you would give him your phone number instead of your insurance information, you will understand. Because what he says is that your daughter said, yes, she drove the car, she had an accident, which sounds right to me, that you said, don't call the police because my insurance isn't going to cover her because she's only 15. Give me an estimate and we'll pay for it. And you gave him your phone number. That's a logical explanation. Now, say nothing, because I've answered you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
As I went to the car, he started calling me a black, all these words. He kicked the car door, and he said I messed with the wrong cracker.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Greg Hardy and his girlfriend Jill Connor say their neighbor, 15-year-old Whitney Manley, sideswiped their car. The couple also claims Whitney's mother, Patrice Manley, ran over Greg's bicycle.
You gave her the estimate, and what happened?
She said that the estimate is too much and that she wasn't going to pay for it, and she told me do what I have to do, and that was it.
Did she come to your house with an estimate?
Yes, she came to my house.
Right.
She said she knew it was me. Sorry.
That's all. There would have been no reason for you to go to her house with an estimate unless she had said to you, bring me an estimate. Right?
Right.
If her daughter had denied hitting your car and having an uncle hit some trash bin on the same day, there would have been no reason for you, unless you're psychotic, to bring her an estimate. Right?
Correct.
Now let us hop over to what you did later on the bike.
Sunday, we believe January 9th, she brought the estimate down to Patrice. Patrice said she was not going to pay for it. It was too much money. Do what we have to do. We called the police officers back down because we have a hit-and-run report from the first incident.
I'd like to see it, please.
The officer went down there, spoke with Patrice, stated that since she agreed to pay for it...
Don't tell me what the officer said.
That's true.
Okay.
No, that's hearsay. I
Okay.
just want to see whether the report was made on the 23rd.
When they went to McDonald's, it was on the 23rd that evening.
Let me explain something to you, madam. I don't believe your daughter. I don't believe your daughter didn't drive the car and hit Jill's car. I believe that that's exactly what she did. And I believe that she acknowledged that the day that he... Listen to me. I believe she acknowledged that to him.
She did.
And I believe the story that she's telling me now with hitting a dumpster in a McDonald's parking lot is a whole lot of who shot John. Because coincidences sometimes happen in this world. But if there's a more logical basis for what happened, I usually go with the logic rather than the serendipity. Let's move on to the bicycle, sir.
We needed to have our license tag number because we reported to Jill's insurance agency. They needed to have the license tag or some information of Patrice to do a follow-up case. Patrice's car disappears for a length of time. I go for a bike ride on January 20th, the morning. I see Patrice parking in
Across the
a
street.
field adjacent to her
I
house.
don't listen to me. I don't want to hear an echo.
Okay.
She's parked in a field, catty corner to her home. I noticed that she is running across the street to her door. I pedal down the road. I stop in the street. I said, Patrice, are you not paying for Jill's damages to the car? And Patrice stated, no, she will not pay for the damages.
Are those the words that were used?
At that time, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Then I went over to her car, which was in the field, called Jill at work.
Who owns the field?
It's Broward County public property.
Okay.
Went to the car, called Jill and gave her the auto tag. Patrice was coming back to her car. Then we had a little bit of an altercation.
Was the damage still on the car?
Yes.
Tell me about the altercation.
Basically, we argued about who's going to pay for the car and why
What
she's
did you
denying.
say to her, and what did she say to you?
I stated that I can't believe she's not paying for the car. To do such damage while living in the same neighborhood is ridiculous to me. Why would a neighbor act like this? And I told her she was a liar, and she got into her car.
What did she say to you?
I don't remember her exact words, Your Honor.
Did you call her
didn't
any
say nothing.
names?
I called her a liar.
Other than that?
I called her a B word.
Well, that's what I'm
Couple.
asking you.
Yes.
Well, you know, when I ask you what the altercation was, and if what you're going to give me is oatmeal, then I'm not going to believe you.
Well,
Do you understand?
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Greg Hardy and his girlfriend say their neighbor, 15-year-old Whitney Manley, sideswiped their car. Greg says on a separate occasion, Whitney's mother, Patrice Manley, ran over his bicycle.
Did she say anything to you?
She made comments back to me. I don't really know what she said, to be honest.
Do you remember what you said to him?
When I came out from the house, he was on the back of the car on the phone. He had his dog with him, a bulldog this big, while he was on the bike. As he was talking, I did not say anything. As I went to the car, he started calling me a black, this, all these words. And I didn't say anything to him because I didn't get upset. I just didn't say nothing. I got in the car and I rolled down the window. He came next on the driver's side. He kicked the car door and he said, I messed with the wrong cracker. I then asked him, what is a cracker? He said, I'm going to get you. He proceeded with the dog, he hopped on the bike, and he proceeded to the street. As I'm driving off, he's in front of my car, would not let me pass. I went around him to not hit him or anything. I went around him. As I went around him, I don't know if the dog stopped or the bike stopped, whatever stopped, but his wheel was under my car because he was still trying to get in front of my car. And then as soon as that happened, when my back tire hit his back tire, he fell off the bike, and I stopped right there. I didn't move, left it as is. He said, I got you now. I got you now. So I didn't say anything. I said, no, I got a good Negro lawyer, is what I told him. So he then picked up the phone and called the police. I, as well, called the police. 2 police came out to the scene, as well as the paramedics.
Can I see the police report on that, please?
Yes. On the last page is...
Were you taken by ambulance from the scene?
Yes, I was.
At his request.
What difference does that make?
Because there was nothing wrong with him.
Well, how do I know that? I'd like to see the medical report. Is this your injury on your ankle?
Yes.
Looks like it got caught in the spokes of the bicycle.
The front crankshaft, yes.
So now I have a few questions for you, Mr. Hardy. Why did you pull out your bicycle at the same time that she was pulling out her car?
I was on the driver's side door when we were arguing.
Yes.
And then she had not yet started the car, or maybe she had just started the car. I have to go up the street. It's a dead-end road. I have to go forward. We're both have to go forward.
Well, I understand that, but
I
you
go
both...
first.
Listen to me,
Okay.
my friend. You don't have to go forward at the same time. You've just had an altercation with a woman who was in a car that weighs 3,000 pounds. It would seem to me prudent to hang back in the field that is the property of Broward County, play with your dog for 15 minutes, while Miss Manley leaves. You've already gotten the information that you wanted, so there's no need to have any further interaction with her. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct.
Unless you wanted to bug her which you might be able to do if you drove in front of her car with your dog at your side, so she would be going at 5 miles an hour instead of 25 miles an hour until she got to a place where she could turn off. Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility.
Right. So you could have avoided this whole part of the conflict if you just stayed back and played with, what's your dog's name?
Indy.
Indy, in the field for a couple of minutes. Why didn't you do that?
Well, I didn't expect her to run me over in a car, and I was going to the bike path, which is just right past the bushes, so I can get onto the next street. I was already in motion first. I did not expect her to hit me with a car. She came up from behind me after I was already riding down the street.
Well, Mr. Hardy, I don't buy it.
Okay.
The alternative was for her to stop her car and just wait for you to get to where you wanted to go. You could have done that, right? Said, listen, this guy is behaving like a big baby, and he's just trying to get my goat, and I'm going to turn off my car and wait 5 minutes for him to disappear. But you both got a little bit hot under the collar, and your bicycle went over, and the dog, according to you, pulled you over, and that's how you got hurt.
No, the dog pulled me to the right. The police officer stated that my bicycle was left in the middle of the street, and that is why they didn't deem her a ticket on the accident.
They sure didn't, according to the police officers. According to the police officer's report, police officer says, based upon the position...
officers. It was 2.
What word didn't you understand? Don't talk. This is not a tea party. Do I give you an opportunity to tell your side of the story?
But I didn't finish.
You may not have finished, madam, but I'm getting the information that I need. And so far, with regard to this aspect, you don't seem to be losing. With regard to whether your daughter hit Jill's car, you lost there. Because your daughter drove your car, didn't tell you, and hit her car. And if you believe her that she didn't do it, that's your problem. So you're going to pay for the damage to Jill's car. But Mr. Hardy's going to pay for his own stupidity and not waiting in the field with his dog until you took off. Because I think what he was trying to do was just annoy you. You understand that, Mr. Hardy?
Well, I don't understand.
You understand. I'm glad you understand. You may not agree with me. That's your prerogative. That's your prerogative. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not here. It's not American Idol. It's not a popularity contest. I listen to what, to me, is common sense. It is not common sense that your girlfriend's car was damaged on the same date as she had control of her mother's car. Her mother's car came up dented with a baloney story about hitting something in McDonald's that they didn't report to McDonald's. That doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense that you just happened to get in motion first and felt as if you had to leave the property first while this 3,000-pound car is following you. That doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. Let me see an estimate for your car, Jill. Is your car fixed yet? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,173. That's all. Step out.
Parties got excused. Step out. Now, this is case number 597 on the calendar in the matter of Willis versus Banchler. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Willis, you've been taking care of Miss Banchler's daughter for years.
Yes.
She first came to live with you because you were married to her father?
Yes.
He's in prison?
No, he's just not around at all.
Left.
Gone.
And you have how many children with him?
None.
You have children of your own?
I do, right.
But he brought this child into your home?
Right.
When?
August 28th of 2000.
How old is she?
She's 11. She'll be 12 in June.
And you've been taking care of her ever since?
Solely.
When did your husband leave?
In 2002.
Where were you?
In Washington State.
What were you doing there?
I live there.
What you want, Miss Willis, is you want support for this little girl from her mother because you've been taking care of her, according to you, with no support from her mother.
None.
Ball's in your court, madam. I'd like to hear you.
I have evidence here of money order receipts as well as a letter that I wrote. I have package receipts that I've mailed packages to
I'm not
her.
interested in packages.
Okay.
Forget packages. Packages are not support.
Okay.
How much support have you sent for your daughter since 2002?
There's one for $150 here.
Give me just a second. I have to do this. 150. Go ahead.
There's one here for $30.
$30.
One for $100. One for $150. And one for $50.
Who were those money orders made out to?
They were made out to her father. Only one of them was made out to Oki.
She's never made one out to me.
What was the date of the last one?
September 8th, 2003.
Okay, since September 8th, 2003, you have sent no support for your daughter.
Not cash.
Well, that's all I'm interested in. It's cash. How do you support yourself? With
Work.
packages?
No.
Your boss at the end of the week give you packages?
No.
Well, at the end of the week, your boss gives you money.
Right.
Well, that's support. That's what people barter in this country. You give them dollars, and they give you bagels and lox and milk and chopped meat and chicken. You know, that's how we survive in this country. How did you expect your children to survive since September of 2003?
I felt like that was her father's responsibility.
Wrong.
So I sent her to him. He said that he would take care of her, and obviously he did not do that.
Well, when did you find out that he split?
I found out when Judge Judy called me.
You didn't know that before?
No.
Well, that's interesting. So the last contact you had with your child was over 2.5 years ago. Is that right?
Yes.
Why is that? Did you move?
No.
Lived in the
I
same-
just moved in September. Before that, I stayed in the same house. She was out here last summer also, and I let her at her mother's house, and I let my daughter call over there to speak with her grandmother. My daughter speak with her grandmother to tell her happy birthday. She answered the phone. My daughter said, "Mommy, like, what are you doing out here?" She didn't even speak. You know, she passed the phone to her mother instead of talking to her daughter. I called back the next morning to speak with her. Her mother told me she already left back for Washington.
Listen to me. Since Miss Willis has been caring for your daughter, you provided $480. That amounts to 32 cents a day. Do you think that's enough?
No, it isn't.
What kind of a job do you have?
I'm a custodial.
How much do you earn a week?
$400.
Here you have a child that you expect to exist on 30 cents a day. It's not her responsibility to support your child.
She took the responsibility.
No, she didn't. She didn't adopt your child.
At any point, she could have sent my daughter back to
How?
me at any point.
That is the most ridiculous statement that I've ever heard. If you chose to have a baby and not be a mother, that's your prerogative. If you were smart enough to say, listen, I'm not the maternal type. I'm not good at raising a child. You probably can do it better. I'm going to let you do it because I can't, or I'm not interested in doing it. That's honest. But don't tell me that you've got this burning maternal instinct in your stomach and all she had to do was call you and you would have taken your daughter, because anybody who is a parent, they wake up in the morning and they go into the nursery and they say, gee, my kid's not here. You know? They don't wait 2.5 years.
I didn't wait 2.5 years. I've tried on multiple occasions to call them. They told me that I cannot call or send her any more packages.
Listen to me,
That's what
my
her
friend.
father
Listen
said.
to me very carefully. At this point, Miss Willis is a legal stranger to your child. At any time, you could have petitioned the court for immediate custody of your daughter. I doubt that you can do it now. I would think that any judge that would give you custody of your child at this point had to be missing one in his six-pack. However, there was a time immediately after the child left your custody when you could have done that. So you can relinquish custody of your child to somebody else, but when you relinquish custody of your child to a stranger, you pay support. And what Miss Willis is asking for, as far as I'm concerned, is a minimal amount of retroactive support for the child in the time that she supported the child. What she's asking for is $5,000 over the course of 4 years. It's a little more than $1,000 a year. Figure it out. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had numerous opportunities to get her daughter back.
I've been denied the opportunity to do it, not necessarily by the plaintiff, but by her father.
Well, she's my daughter. I couldn't imagine her even going back with her.
I don't accept the fact that I'm going to have a custody issue with her. She is my daughter.
I will fight to the end to make sure she stays with me forever.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jones versus Luis Castillo. Step forward, please.
Douglas Jones is suing his cousin, bus driver Dwight Lewis and girlfriend Mary Ellen Castillo for damages to his home as the result of a fight. Douglas says Mary Ellen and his girlfriend went toe-to-toe.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Lewis is your cousin, according to your complaint, and this lady with him is his girlfriend.
That's correct.
At some time, for reasons that I'm sure you will explain to me, you allowed Mr. Lewis, his girlfriend, and her 3 children to move into your home, a home that you shared with your girlfriend.
That's correct.
And any other children?
Yes, 2 boys.
Whose children are those?
Ours.
The 2 women, for some reason, did not get along.
Right.
And there was an altercation that became physical. And it is your claim that this altercation that became physical resulted in Miss Castillo taking a plate and throwing it against your sliding glass doors, causing the door to break. You want her to pay $600 for the glass door.
Which the glass door that's been chipped, the kitchen window, she broke also.
Ms. Castillo says you're lucky she's not suing you and your girlfriend because she was injured during that altercation. An altercation that was started by your girlfriend.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She starts going, oink, oink, you a pig, oink, oink. And she spit in my face and ran.
So what did you do?
I snatched her up when she was running. And I threw her on the ground and we were fighting.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Douglas Jones says his cousin, Dwight Lewis, and his girlfriend, Mary Ellen Castillo, owe for damage to his house. Douglas says the damage occurred during a fight between Mary Ellen and his girlfriend, Laminda.
Were you present during the altercation?
I know, I was in a room next to the kitchen.
Step up here. What's your name?
Laminda?
Laminda, you have a last name.
Malik.
When did they move in with you?
They moved in June of '04, and the fight took place at August.
It was right after your back
30th.
surgery.
Right, right.
August of 31st of '04.
Correct.
What started the fight?
We were in the kitchen, and the night before we had been fighting the whole night. My dad was just going to California, so he had stopped by, and she was still calling me names the next morning. It was over a washer and just things that she was like nitpicking on, you know, if I did the dishes or, you know, putting dishes to each side of the sink. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was little kid fighting, but she was still doing it the next day. When my dad came over, she stood over in the carport, and she starts like folding her arms and just staring at me, and I'm I'm trying not to look over at her, and she starts going oink oink, oink oink, you a pig, oink oink.
That's the day before.
Yeah, later on we were cooking, and she spit in my face and ran. And at the time she couldn't really talk because she had sores in her mouth. And so I don't know, to me that was assault. You know, that was assault to me. That was it. I had it, and I couldn't take it no more. And
so what did you do?
I snatched her up when she was running.
What does that mean, you snatched her up?
By her hair.
So you grabbed her by the hair?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
And I threw her on the ground, and we were fighting. Then her husband jumped in and went to go pull me off.
And that's when I heard the commotion.
That's when he heard the commotion.
And I just had a back operation a couple of days before that.
I'm sorry about that. You feeling better?
A little bit.
Good. Can we get back to the story, please? All right. So now he comes in to try to pull you off. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And when he started to pull me off, I felt like I was being, like it was both of them. She was still getting her, kicking me and stuff, and I had been threatened by her the whole time.
Well, he's trying to pull you off, so evidently you're on top.
No, pull us apart, actually, because at the time we were both still wrestling on the ground, and I had been told many times, no, don't mess with Mary Ellen, you know, that she was going to whoop my...
Okay.
Sorry.
Where are all the children when this is going on?
They were scattered all over the house. Some were playing out in the yard and somewhere in the living room.
The children didn't come in to hear what all the commotion was?
Yeah, a couple of them came to the kitchen door after the fight had broken up. See, they've been nitpicking at each other for a while, especially Mary Ellen, because it seemed like she wanted to be the alpha female, and you don't do that when you're invited to somebody's house. I asked my cousin and them to come up here because Mary Ellen had got kicked out of his daughter's house in Georgia, where they moved into another house, and they said they had black mold, and the mold was killing them. So I said, well, come on up and, you know, stay with me. You got 3 kids, so get them in school up here and come up here. I didn't expect her to come over and take over.
I wouldn't try to take over from her.
Evidently, she tried.
I want to know how the window got broken.
After the fight went on, I think Mary Ellen was very upset about getting beat because she was